I found Mary's dress at a garage sale. It was simple, navy, nothing special. But I brought it home. Mary did not grow up in the house where people planned their lives. Things happened. You worked. You adjusted. Her mother woke early, always before light. Coffee first, then movement, then the day. There were no long conversations about dreams. Only sentences like, you have to be practical, you need something stable. Mary listened, not because she agreed, but because there was no other language offered. School came easy to her. She was not brilliant in a loud way, but she could stay with things longer than others. She could sit with confusion, let it settle. Teachers noticed. One of them once said, "You don't rush your thinking." Mary didn't know that it was something to be valued. She thought she was just slower. College was not an obvious step. It was discussed around the kitchen table like a risk. Her father folded and unfolded the same paper while speaking. Her mother calculated costs out loud. Mary said little, but she filled out the forms, sent them, waited. When the acceptance letter came, it arrived on the ordinary afternoon. No ceremony. Just an envelope slightly thicker than the others. She opened it standing up, read it once, then again, sat down. The first months were not inspiring. They were disorienting. People spoke quickly, confidently, as if they already belonged. She listened more than she spoke, watched, learned how people held themselves when they believed they had a place. There were days she wanted to leave, quietly, without explanation. But something in her resisted that. Not ambition, something quieter. A refusal to go back unchanged. She worked, studied at odd hours, learned the rhythm of being alone in the room and not needing distraction. Over time, things began to make sense. Not all at once, but enough. The dress came later, near the end. She saw it in a small store she almost didn't enter. Navy, with thin, interrupted lines. It didn't try to attract attention, that's why she noticed it. She touched the fabric. It felt steady. Not soft in a fragile way, but not stiff either. Something in between. She tried it on. Looked at herself in the mirror. Not searching for beauty, not even for confidence. Just recognition. The collar stood higher than what she usually wore. The buttons ran down the front like a quiet structure. The belt closed in a simple circle. Nothing decorative for the sake of it. Everything had a reason. She bought it. It was not for a specific event. It was for a version of herself she was still becoming. The day she finished college passed quietly. No stage, no applause, just a last paper submitted. A hallway walked one final time. A door closed behind her without ceremony. At home, her mother said. Good. Now things will be easier. Mary nodded. She did not try to explain that something else had happened. Something that did not have a name in that house. The interview came a week later. She woke early, not from anxiety, from a kind of alertness. The dress was already waiting. She took it out carefully, smoothed it. Button by button she closed it, each one requiring a small pause. Not difficult, just deliberate. She tied the belt once, untied it, tied again, softer, more aligned. For a moment, her hands rested at the waist, not adjusting anything, just there. On the bus, people moved in and out. No one looked at her twice. She preferred it that way. She watched reflections in the window, her own face faint, overlaying the city, as if she was both there or not fully there yet. At the office, she waited, sat upright, not rigid, present. When her name was called, she stood without hesitation, walked in, sat down. They asked questions. She answered, not quickly, not slowly, at her own pace. There were moments of silence. She did not rush to fill them. She did not try to prove she belonged. She did not apologize for being there. When it was over, she thanked them, stood, left. Outside, the air felt the same. Nothing had changed, and yet something had shifted. Not in the world, in her. She walked without urgency, the lines of her dress moving with her, vertical, steady. She did not know yet what would come next, if she would get the job, if this path would hold. But she knew this. She had crossed something invisible, without noise, without permission. Years later, the dress would remain, folded carefully, not because of success and not because of the memory. It was because it marked a moment when she stood at the edge of her own life and stepped forward without certainty and without turning back.